All right, we're live. Welcome to another Friday drum hang. Today I have drum craftsman slash pioneer James Beier from you're in Wisconsin, I think, right?
Correct. Yeah, I
Correct.
live
Yeah.
outside of Milwaukee.
Right. Yeah. Thanks for hanging out, James.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Brendan.
Awesome. And to anybody that kind of tunes in, apologies for being late. Some technical issues on my end amongst
Yeah,
all
I
of the
was I
stuff
was
happening.
jaw flapping though too, though, so it's not really your fault, Brendan.
No, no, this is great. I think that if I'd sent the correct link in the first place, we could have chatted for at least 20 minutes before 11, and we would have been on time. But yeah, this is great. I mean, we were kind of. I think that this is the first time we've actually spoken in person. We've been back
Yeah.
and forth on Facebook quite a bit
Yep.
about. I don't know. I think I first reached out to you a few years ago, just inquiring about your drums because Chad Melcher had mentioned,
Yeah.
all, as he does on Facebook all the time.
Canadian
These
great, all-time great guy, drummer,
totally, yeah.
Chad Melcher.
These Beier drums are the best. You got to have one, and I gotta send James a little message and see what's going on here. And it's funny. I think it was last summer. I was playing Calgary Stampede here, and I get a text from Chad, and it's two pictures, and they're both from L&M, and they're both Beier snare drums, and they're both used and on sale. And I
Oh,
jumped in the car and ran over there and picked it up.
there it
This
is.
guy, yeah. So this is what we're kind of talking about today. For anybody that doesn't know, James has almost single-handedly brought the resurgence of 15-inch diameter snare drums to the world of drumming, which is pretty remarkable.
Well, brought him back. They were in the early 20th century. They were very relatively common, and they just disappeared for a long time. And the idea, I didn't want to bring one back. I wanted to bring an entire line back.
Right,
And I guess if I've done anything, I've done that. I've always loved 15-inch snare drums. Always.
right. I mean, I don't think I'd played one before playing yours in the store. Oh no, that's a lie. I have the J.R. Robinson
Yeah, good
from
drum.
Yamaha. Amazing.
Yep.
But I remember picking yours up off the shelf, and the guy, the store employee, do you want to try it? And my first thought was like, no, I'd better not, because this thing's coming home. If I start playing it, and the sensitivity and the musicality of it was ridiculous. Without doing anything to it, I'm sure they had it tuned really well, but
Well, it's been a great drum. I mean, it's one of the four, and that drum comes from Mark Beckett.
that's right.
That was his idea, and I was not a huge skeptic. I said, yeah, I'll do it. Why not? And just in the earlier days, but privately, I was thinking, boy, I don't know about this. I really don't.
Right.
This is going to work. And I finished it and played it, and I'm like, and I remember texting him, just saying, oh my God, this week, this is going to be really good, I think.
Oh man, I can only imagine that first one coming off
Yeah,
your low.
I can remember the moment. Drummers remember those moments.
Yeah.
Of hitting that cymbal, or a bass drum, floor tone, anything. And I remember it very clearly. I was actually in my kitchen, because it's kind of open in my kitchen, and
Okay.
it's a tile floor.
Okay.
And, okay, I want to really catch the vibe of this. And it was later I would have went outside on the porch. But yeah, that was something. It was something I'll always remember.
Unbelievable. So I had this question first. I was just snooping around this morning on the internet, checking out. I was hit Reverb and Kijiji and eBay and checked for cool stuff, and stumbled across Keplinger drums, and they've been around for a while. Also steel drums, and I wondered what your thoughts are on how yours compared to other kind of handcrafted steel snare drums. Not, I mean, obviously diameter.
Yeah.
15. Nobody else has a 15. Cool. Your bearing edges, you said that you do yourself, and they're extremely wide. I think 5 inches is what you mentioned on the.
Yeah, the snare beds. Yeah,
Yep. So
absolutely. And
besides
that's a very
that,
vintage, long, flat snare beds.
totally, and they work phenomenally.
Yeah, and those drums they do.
So I mean, I just wondered what your thoughts are on, had you played some of those other kind of handcrafted steel snare drums before you started developing your own, and what you think, how you think yours compares
No,
to them.
I really didn't. I mean, I I had an old Ludwig steel drum
Mm,
from the '70s, and that's what I used for many years. And I've primarily always been a metal guy,
mm-hmm.
and I worked with brass and copper and a little bit of aluminum, and it just didn't have the brightness. It was really
Okay.
kind of a truly like almost 100% independent venture, and I just
Right.
relied on my ears. Um, it sounds maybe kind of unusual, Brendan, but it like when I go into, let's say, interstate music, they might have 50 snare drums on the shelf, and it's pretty rare I pick one up and play one.
Really.
Yeah, I mean, the Ludwig Copperphonic.
Yep.
I really dig that drum, so I'll grab one of those or an Acrolite. I want to see what the new Acrolite sounded like.
Right.
Huge Acrolite fan. Well, who isn't an Acrolite?
Oh man.
I saw your post. We'll get to that, but I'm very happy
okay.
for you, by the way.
Thank you.
But no, I just truly lived inside my head, and I kind of do on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
I really, the trends and things like this. I just really don't pay attention to. I mean, my drums. I have the sound that I want. I found that a long time ago.
Okay.
And I just stay with that. And I'll never change I've never changed anything in years.
That's
And if now the latest trend, and I don't mean that sarcastically, but the latest, angle or whatever direction the business is going in would be a certain type of finish. I really
right.
I mean all the best. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna do that.
Right.
I'm just gonna do what I do always.
That's incredible. I mean, to develop a line of instruments that so many of the world's top players think so highly of, that's it's should just come from your head and be strictly your vision, and for you to not have to draw comparisons to other instruments is incredible. At least for me, like I'm always kind of comparing myself to other people and other players, and I think that's really commendable, really, to just have that focus.
You know what, Brendan, like, you're probably not comparing yourself. I mean, players learn from one another, but you when you go out and play, you're Brendan Lyons. You're not trying to be there's people you idolize. There's people we all idolize.
Yep.
Todd Zuckerman, Steve Smith,
Yeah.
Buddy Rich. But drummers, it's literally unheard of for them to go out and try to replicate somebody.
That's right.
It's a learning, it's a nurturing, and that's a different type of thing. But in the gear business, I think my way, I don't do that. I don't pick up things, and I just go with what I think sounds right. My vision has nothing to do with it. It's right here. That's
right.
It.
Gotcha.
And that's all I care about, and what the feedback from the players is.
So let's talk about that then, because that was one of the questions that I had. So you developed the 15x4 or 4x15 with Mark Beckett. What exactly was the back and forth between him and you at the time? So you produced the first one. That was it.
I mean, that he's like, did you ever think of making a 4x15?
Right.
And I had made a 5.5 15, and I was moving into the 6.5 15 at that time.
Okay.
And honestly, at that time, I tended to think deeper, instead of shallower.
Mm-hmm.
But it was kind of a one-liner. I'm like, okay, I'll do it.
Right. And
I just did it, and that was it. And then like I said, I let him know it's done, and oh my God,
that's
pretty simple, man. It just,
mind blowing. The first one that came off is exactly how it is now.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. I've never,
unbelievable.
I mean, I buy my steel from the same source. Steel is steel. It's relatively consistent. I mean, if you're
Mhm.
dealing in brass and copper, that can get a little more detailed. There's so many different types of grades. There's cheaper versions of certain types of copper, brass. So you're going to get different sounds.
Right.
I mean, everybody's played two identical brass drums from the same manufacturer and they sound completely different.
Yep.
That's why they came off the line and it's not really their fault. I mean, that's a really difficult thing to determine when you're looking at a piece of brass until
Okay. Yep.
but I mean, I
Definitely.
do everything. I do everything with hand tools. I use the same tape measure for 12 years. I just don't. I have a way of doing it, and it's not a bullheaded thing. Well, you know what? It might be, but at the end of the day, it works.
That's right. If it works, it works. Yeah.
And I listen to everybody, and all their ideas, and some of them are amazing.
Hmm.
David Northrop is responsible for the 5.5 12. I
Right.
had wound one, and I thought, no, I'm just not into this auxiliary drum thing right now. And I was at a show with him in the Wisconsin Dells, and he's like, "You got to finish that drum, Jim. Players would love that drum." And that drum is everybody does love that drum.
I believe it. I
Yeah,
believe it.
and he's an amazing guy, and he uses it all the time.
Awesome. So, who are some new players that you've gotten a hold of that have your drums now that you're excited about? Um,
I really, I tend to do things pretty informally here.
mhm.
I have a player pictorial on my site, and that's my roster.
Yeah.
But I think the players that have played my drums have been playing them for so long.
Right.
I just the only I mean the drums I'm sending out are to current players, and they played my stuff for years,
Right.
which is wonderful because like they will like most of them will say, Jim, these drums just work for me. Thank you. And that's it. Some of them I don't even talk to for once a year maybe,
Right.
because there's nothing really to be said. It's like the job is done. It works musically,
Hmm.
and that I tend to want to keep things simple and straight, and so do drummers.
Totally.
Yeah, don't want to
Reliable
run around
instruments.
looking for the perfect head for this drum that isn't working, and then we've all done that, and that's not. It can be fun, but it's not really fun.
No.
Keep it simple and try to do it right the first time. Is right.
Absolutely. Awesome. So, related question. We're talking about the talk I had with Seth
Mm-hmm.
the week before last. It's all a
2 weeks.
blur. Yeah, 2 weeks ago. He uses one with Keith Urban live, and you have some video from a couple of shows with him. I think. Did you go to those shows and check it out backstage? And
I've seen them once, and him and Harry were the greatest hosts, and I saw them in Chicago,
okay,
and then they were coming to would have been a year ago this last spring. They were in Chicago again, but I did not see that show, and it was kind of a later edition, and I was on my way to another show, and Seth's like, "It's cool, it's a fly date, we're kind of in and out anyway."
right.
But yeah, I mean that band. What do you say?
Stellar.
Oh, all of them.
Yeah.
He's an amazing guy. Him and Harry McCarthy are that was, Elizabeth and I were just talking about that the other day. That it was unbelievable.
Awesome. So, speaking to somebody like Harry, for anybody that doesn't know, Harry McCarthy runs Drummers Paradise, Drummers Paradise,
Yeah,
out
Drum
of
Paradise,
yeah,
Nashville.
in Nashville, a cartage company that looks after drums for you name it, any drummer in the Nashville scene. Chris
Oh yeah,
McHugh,
he's the guy.
Steve Gadd, just the list is on. And so, and Jeff Porcaro, he tech for Jeff Porcaro for a while.
Eddie
So
Bears, he takes
Eddie
care
Bears.
of everybody.
He knows drums inside and out,
He does.
like, unlike anybody else in the world. So what did he have to say about Seth's drum? And what I'm curious about tuning. I talked to Seth a little bit about it last time, and I talked to Harry a little bit over an email. And Harry, of course, was like, "Just come down to Nashville. I'll show you." Oh yeah. Oh, I mean, I'd love to, and I will one day. But
Oh, you'd have a great time. He's
oh,
the modest professional
yeah,
type. He's a remarkable guy.
yeah.
Everybody loves Harry McCarthy.
I yeah, I believe that for sure. So, chatting with Harry, then what did he have to say about that drum and how they sculpted for Keith's show?
He paid me a very nice compliment. He said that is the best sounding 15-inch drum I've ever heard in my life. And
That's
he
saying
loved
something.
it right off the bat. And so did Seth. And amazing, Seth uses an Emperor on it.
Really?
Yeah, amazingly.
Huh?
And as far as the way they tune that drum, I wish I could tell you how, but I don't know because Seth, his batter head is loose,
Like really loose?
really loose to me.
Okay.
And so I sat down at his kit. They're like, sit down. And it was before the show, of course. And it sounds incredible. And during the show, that thing I was like, oh my God.
It's really ridiculous.
Yeah. With an
Yeah.
Emperor. And I don't know how he does that. So next time I want to sit down with them and see how he does that. I've had other drummers comment on that know him, like Jared Pope.
Okay.
We've talked about how he's like, it's unbelievable the sound that he gets out of that drum.
Totally. And I'm, the player for sure, and his sticks, the tips on his sticks are huge. They're
Yeah.
giant balls. So I'm sure that has something to do with it as well. But
Well,
I never.
I think he's a very powerful player.
Yes.
But his wrists, and I think that's where it does come from. But
Yeah.
it's kind of, you don't notice that when you watch, but if you really truly watch him with that, which I have on a number of occasions, live and videos, I always watch clips. It's unbelievable.
He's stellar.
Oh,
Stellar player.
so
Yeah.
but yeah, you've got to visit Harry. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that he's one of those guys, you could learn more in a half hour from than you could learn in a year on your own.
Right. I mean that was the plan pre-COVID. My wife and I we got married last year, and we still haven't been on a honeymoon. We're not like the lovey-dovey type or anything, but we haven't traveled a lot because I'm busy all the time, and
Yeah.
we've been on one vacation in the 10 years we've been together, and we're gonna go to I was gonna go to Nashville and LA and take some lessons, and we are gonna work in something around that.
Yeah.
Travel a little bit, and planned on visiting Harry and hooking up with a bunch of the guys on the Innovative Percussion roster, like Seth and Chris and you name it, and then the world ended. So.
Well, if she's cool that you're gonna spend your honeymoon, part of it at Drum Paradise Nash, it's a good thing you married her, man.
Yeah,
because
they'd be separate. I'll go down a week
you got a
early.
good woman there, buddy.
Oh man, she's the best. I mean, I buy gear all the time too, and I'm a terrible liar. I just can't.
Yeah.
I can't bring something home and then just keep it down here and not show her. I have to
see it on
ask
the
her.
credit card thing though. You'll get busted eventually.
There's no credit card. It's like cash or e-transfers. So
you're good. You're a pro, man.
But I can't keep a straight face, so it's all it's before I'm leaving to go get it. I'll be like, so there's this thing that I found. I'm going to get it.
Well, she married a drummer, man.
Yeah. I don't think she knew what she was getting into when we started dating.
I think she did. Women usually do.
I don't know. When we first started dating, I wasn't doing music full time. I was in the middle of a Bachelor of Science degree and was planning to be an engineer. Right. So there was like the future of like,
So you were normal then. You were.
Yeah. Fairly. The future looked bright. It could make six figures and have a nice house. And
yeah.
Here we are. I mean, we're doing just fine. We got a beautiful house and we're both pretty stable. Man. So yeah, it's nice, but she puts up with a lot.
Women are good at that. They're the peacekeepers of the world, buddy.
Yeah. I mean, it goes both ways, but yeah,
Hmm.
they're pretty fantastic. So, along with the COVID thing, um, the reason I started this Friday drum hang, I started it at the beginning of the pandemic, kind of as a way for some local drummers and I to keep tabs on everybody's mental health through
Yeah,
this break, right? So,
agreed.
we'd kind of just get together and shoot the shit. I'll be better later, maybe. But I kind of wondered how are you doing? Like, how has COVID changed things? I listened to that podcast yesterday that you did at the beginning of the pandemic, but it's now been
Yeah.
6 months, 5 months since then.
Hmm.
So I wondered how you're doing and how things have changed.
I've been really lucky, Brendan. I mean, it's a little slower. It's the same, but everything is moving in slow motion,
Mm,
and that's it. I mean, I am kind of a horse at the gate, like all of us.
yeah.
I want to get going again, but I shipped 2 drums this week, another drum last week. I'm shipping every week almost,
Good. Awesome.
and I have more than enough to work on. I mean, you can see the shells behind me. I probably have about 75 shells here that are welded,
Whoa.
to work on. So, I mean,
Okay.
I always have something. It's been a good time to catch up on media. The good side of this, that all of you guys, you're in the studio, you're finishing your home studios, you're doing things that you can't do when you're playing all the time.
For sure. For sure.
So but I mean, overall, how is everybody doing, including me? Not as good as, we all were,
Yeah.
but that'll change. It will
Yeah.
change. It
Yeah.
has to.
Yeah, it for sure does. I mean, and especially like politically down there too. I hope that things turn around. I saw that
I know.
Department of Homeland Security down there, they bumped visitor visas, like working musician artist visas, by 50% too. So that's
Yeah, why? That's entertainment. It's like,
yeah,
really? I mean, that's exactly what people need.
yeah, a
Is some
multi-billion
form
dollar
of
industry.
entertainment.
Yeah, yep, for sure, multi-billion dollar industry,
Oh
and
yeah,
they're blocking people from bringing money into the country.
yeah.
It seems strange, but yeah,
Well, all this is uncharted waters and whatever, but it is what it is.
hmm
I the only good thing about this is that we're all in it together.
yeah,
It's one of the only time maybe in our lives we'll say, you know what, this affects every single person on this planet.
true, yeah,
And
yeah,
so there's understanding that comes along with that. There's patience, but people go back, to what maybe they haven't been able to finish, which is, like I said, the good side. I'm seeing some killer drum rooms and home studios, and the amount of records, we were talking before we were live, that are coming out. It's amazing, all that stuff.
hmm
And I love that stuff.
yeah. Lots of time for that. Lots of time for practicing too. I've found just getting back to basics. Not to use a
Yeah,
cliche, but
absolutely.
take some
I see a
lessons.
lot of that.
Yeah,
I
that's
see
great.
a lot of that.
Self
Guys
improvement
are
on
doing rudiments in the morning. Like, wow, I've gotten back to doing rudiments every morning.
right.
Simple something, but so that it's another good aspect to it. And I just see in the comments, I want to say hi to Peter Rosinski, fellow
Yeah.
Canadian of yours. I love Peter.
Where's Peter at? I don't Peter. If he's
Peter's in
still on
Thunder
there.
Bay.
In Thunder Bay,
Yeah,
Canadian.
yeah,
Nice.
he's got a number of my drums, and he's another one. It's like he plays in a number of bands, but I've stayed in touch with him,
Oh,
and
great.
he's a great guy.
I think I've seen photos of his collection, and
Yeah,
it's expansive.
yeah, he actually had one of the first 7.5 15 snares.
Wow.
Yeah, and he's got a 5.5 14 as well.
Okay. Cool.
So
Both. I gotta add those to my list. I think the 13 is next on the list. I had two Aot Keplingers, a 14 by 6.5 and a 13 by
yeah,
6, and I sold a 13, and I think it might be time for a Beier 13 at some point. So
13. 13's. I'll send you a clip after we're done. Of the 13, the live, just
mm,
no EQ, just straight out live.
yeah.
And the 13s are more like a 13 14.
Okay.
They were really kind kind of a vibrant 13. They've come out really well.
Yeah, I think Casey Todd, he flies up here with his all the time as his
Oh
main snare
yeah,
drum because it fits in a case, like a road case, and sounds
yeah. He
incredible.
told me, he's like, I never thought I would travel with a 5.5 13, but I do with this one.
Yeah,
It's
for
another thing
sure.
I remember. I never forget.
You have a good
It's
memory.
amazing to hear.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, totally. So, speaking of memory and your relationships with players, how has that changed during the pandemic? Like before, you're always keeping up with everybody. I guess it's the same. You just don't go to
Yeah,
shows anymore.
absolutely. I mean, they're all busy.
Hmm.
I stay in touch with everybody. I always have. I'm very curious, as you know. When I saw you with one of my 4x15s, I'm like, man, I got to get a hold of this guy. Where did he get that drum? And we've stayed in touch ever since.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I want to hear what you guys are doing with it. You know?
That's crazy. That's like no other drum manufacturer or designer does that. I think, anyways. At least with the sincerity, I feel.
Yeah, I'm not doing it to sell stuff. I don't sell like, hey, 10% off this month, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Hmm.
I just want to know that you're happy with that drum,
Yeah,
or if you're not, or where it works, and I just kind of compile that in my head. I've always done that. And use an example, for instance, like when we're talking, when you ask me a question, boom, I have that answer, or maybe a answer because Casey Todd told me that, or Chad Melcher, or Peter Rosinski, or somebody
right.
mentioned this, and that's kind of what it's all about, Brendan. I mean, that's the only thing I care about at the end of the day is that drummers are happy with what they're hearing.
Yeah,
You know, I don't do special editions and finishes and things like that, and all that's cool. It's amazing, some of it, but I want to know what they're hearing,
right.
and past that I mean, that's the whole deal right there.
And it shows. I mean, I think your drums are gorgeous, and they're as pretty much as utilitarian as they can get.
Yeah,
On
see what I think.
the Working Drummer podcast, you're talking about being able to just go out and grab replacement parts from wherever. You're not
Yeah,
precious about
absolutely.
proprietary equipment or
No, I'll never do
hardware.
that. But I started out that way, and I had I had made lugs, and I had a metal lathe and all sorts of things, and I made hoops, and then it didn't sit right with me.
Hmm.
I thought, what if, I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to make drums forever. What are they going to do? I don't want drummers in 30 years or 25. Well, who knows, but when let's say when I'm not doing this anymore, leave it at that.
Okay.
But I don't want them hunting on eBay for some of my lugs.
Right.
Because I still think at the end of the day, everything matters in a drum, but your drum is your shell.
Right.
I think that, and
Yeah.
everything, diecast hoops, all these things add, take away things, whatever. But your drum, and Johnny Craviotto used to talk about that.
Okay.
That your shell, that's your house.
Right.
That's it. And
Right.
I agreed with him. He said that years ago.
He built quite a legacy for himself.
Yeah, I never got to meet him. Sadly, I always wanted to meet him.
That's too bad. I remember hearing while it was Keith Urban was touring in 2010, and Chris was still playing with him, and Chris was playing
Mm-hmm.
his 26-inch kick drum, 13, 16, 18 solid
Oh, that
shell.
kid, yeah.
Oh my God, I will never forget how unbelievably massive that thing sounded.
Oh, yeah.
Um, and I
It was
think
a
Harry,
mustard-colored kit, wasn't it? It was kind of
I thought it was white,
maybe it was.
like a almost
That
off
kid.
white.
Well, maybe it was another one, or he obviously had more than one, but he sold that at Forks, and I was eyeballing that a number
Really?
of years ago.
Jeez.
And it was a kid he had on the road, and I'm like, oh my God. But
Didn't.
when you're 10 grand short, it just doesn't.
Yeah, for us up here, I guess I'd be closer to 14.
Oh
Maybe,
yeah.
you
Well, the shipping alone, shipping to Canada has gone crazy.
know.
I
Yeah.
mean, off the charts.
It's not easy getting stuff around. I just even shipping to the States, I shipped had a Simmons drum kit, um,
Yeah.
selling for a third party, the old rack unit and
Yeah.
5 pads or something like that. And it was like $300 to ship that thing.
Oh yeah, I believe that.
Ugh. Oh,
Yeah, I mean, you ship a little padded envelope, and it's like $21, and it doesn't even weigh anything. And I'm
yeah,
like, it's really, really something.
yeah. I not to keep on the shipping thing, but I did. I shipped a. It was a Sonar artist series, like the jungle painted one with the gold
Yeah,
hardware, the 28 ply or 27 ply.
sure.
I shipped it to the Netherlands, and it was $450.
God.
Could have bought a seat and taken it with me,
Oh,
and
I know.
I
You,
yeah,
yeah, you could have hand delivered it for that. And,
probably should have.
well, next time do that. That'll be your honeymoon, man.
Yeah, totally. I'll just go early and take drum lessons with people.
Yeah, I know.
Oh man.
I know. But
Um,
yeah, it's just I don't understand it, but it's certainly a consideration, you know.
yeah, for sure. So you're still Long and McQuaid's a distributor for your stuff.
Yeah, thanks to Theodore Brown, another one of my Canadian brothers.
Amazing. I don't know if I'm guessing he's Ontario.
Uh, Wait, no, he's in Saskatoon.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
we were going to meet up last time. He was visiting relatives in somewhere in the south in the States, and he's hoping he could swing by here. And I was like, oh, and couldn't do it. And then her and I were going to fly out for a show to see Chad Melcher in
Mm-hmm.
Saskatoon,
Wow.
but that didn't happen. So
Well, there'll be more. Chad will be busy. He'll keep going.
yeah, I really have got to see Gord Bamford live in Saskatoon with Chad Melcher and my brother Theodore Brown and Elizabeth. So
Awesome.
it's I have to do this.
That'd be great.
Yeah,
Maybe
I love it.
2021. Oh, geez. Um, so I just had a couple more questions, and
Yeah.
this is then we'll be off script after that, and if we need to you know, cut it
Yeah,
short.
just tell me to shut up, man, because you know what, man, I'm real, like, I'm kind of try to be a behind the scenes guy, but man, I can blabble on too. So just, yeah,
I
if you
appreciate
pull
that.
the plug, I'm not going to take it personally.
No. It's funny. Like I get anxious about these things, but it's not because I have to talk to people. It's because I'm worried that I'll have somebody come on that's like very soft spoken and withdrawn, and I'll just have to keep, you know, moving things, and 10 minutes later that'll be it. So,
Yeah.
that's my biggest worry. So this is great, and I think that people just want to hear you talk. They don't want to hear me talk.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
You're doing a great job with this, Brendan. Like I said,
I appreciate it. It's a lot of fun, and I just the dissemination of information to people is kind of what's important to me. The Chris McHugh talk was crazy. We're doing a part 2 because we didn't get around to.
I'm really sorry I missed that. I've never met Chris, but goes without saying. I mean, it's kind of his name is kind of says it all. He's done it all.
He really has, and unbelievably kind and patient, and very open about everything drums and music and life, and really cool. I wondered about your business experience in terms of developing your brand and establishing what you're worth. How was that process for you?
You mean going about how I quote unquote get them out there?
Not necessarily how you get them out there, but at the very beginning, setting a price point for your instruments. And,
oh, that way. Okay.
Okay. Kind of it's obviously a balance between pretty high quality instrument that's still very budget friendly, but you still have to make a living.
Exactly.
I just wondered what your thoughts were.
Yeah, that was huge. And another one of my non-budging points, that I came up with the price I did because it's a drum that's within the reach of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And there's reasons to that some snare drums are $1,500. Sometimes a good reason, but
Right.
I don't want to do that. And I never will. I was going to do an anniversary drum. It's 10-year anniversary this year, so that's not going to happen. So it's going to end up being an 11 or a 12-year anniversary drum.
That's fine.
but it's going to be in the same price range.
Interesting.
Make it good for everybody. So, the bottom line is, when you're selling drums at my prices, you just have to move a little quicker.
Right.
And not saying that other people aren't, but it's a matter of a big picture, long-term, kind of steady, predictable program. I mean, how many times have we all bought something that we absolutely love, and then you go to buy another one a year and a half later, and it's like, it's $300, now it's $600. It happens all the time, and that's the realities of some particularly larger business. They don't have a choice, but right. I'll never do that. I will never ever do that. And my DW mags, different things have gone up, not dramatically, but everything has gone up.
Yeah,
but I can hold it, and I always will.
Amazing. So, I understand, people love your drums because of how they sound, but do you think that holding your drums at a lower price is detrimental to sales, for lack of a better way of putting it?
People, sure.
Yeah.
There's that element of, I've had hundreds of discussions with drummers over the years about this, and there are this is more, it must be better, right. And we all do that with different that one's twice as much, but maybe it's 3 times as good,
right?
But when you're dealing with an instrument, it's a completely different, the music, the gear business is a business, but it's a completely different type of business, right? Because you're dealing with an instrument. And I don't know. I've had a lot of comments over the years, like, you need to raise the price of your drums. These should be at least $600 or $700, and I won't do that. And I'll spend an hour explaining politely why.
Yeah.
But I will never do that.
I think that's incredible.
Keep it good for everyone. Brendan, I have everything I want.
Yeah.
I live in this beautiful place. I worked out this morning at home, a steam room. I'm doing something I love to do. Would I like more in life? We all want more. That's our nature. Mm-hmm. That's just people. But at the same time, it's I do what I do, and that's kind of it. And unless steel or something goes completely crazy, which it never will, steel is not a volatile metal in the market. Brass and copper are, of course.
Right.
That's why cymbals are so expensive, because they're speculating. When you're buying, copper and brass, you have to think, what could happen, next year.
Interesting.
The oil guys do the same thing.
Yeah.
But they're crooks. But I mean, the cymbal guys are not.
Agreed.
but it, they speculate on prices, and
right.
I don't have to do that. I mean, I know exactly where I'm at, what I do, what I have to do, and I'm just happy as a clam.
Great.
Always.
That's great. Making world-class instruments available to everybody is, I think that's amazing. The whole price is better thing, I definitely went through a phase of that, that kind of mentality. That J.R. Robinson snare drum I have, those AOTs, oh my God, they're great. They cost a fortune, and I might not be able to pay rent next month, but I have this thing, But after buying your drum and starting to buy used, older stuff that's player kind of drums, it's ears. Use your ears. Use your musical
Yeah, follow
sensibilities.
your ears. I
Yeah.
tell people, you know, and I don't get upset if they're like it doesn't work. I mean, there is, you know, drummers that have maybe 3 or 4 of my drums, and they'll try another one, and they're like, it doesn't work. I don't take it personally. I'm like, tell me why.
Right.
You know, getting back to your post on your acrolite, your vintage acro. I was happy for you. I mean, here's an example of the way I think, Brendan. I didn't read that thinking, oh no, is he going to get rid of my 4x15? Is he not going to play it? Does he? He doesn't. I don't think that way. I'm thinking, wow, this is awesome, man. This guy just found something that just lit him up.
Right.
You know, that you cannot wait to play, that you cannot wait to go into the studio, and you know what? That's music. That's art.
Right.
That's what it's supposed to be, and
Gotcha.
that gets lost so often.
Yeah, for sure.
In you know, for so many different reasons, and you know, I see players all the time with different drums, and you know, they have 3 or 4 of my drums, but that night, you know, they pulled out, you know, an old Yamaha birch snare because that's what they wanted to use.
Right.
That's what they felt, and that's cool.
Yeah, for sure. That's great. I thought about taking it, but you know that session yesterday was like a Motown type thing.
Yeah.
So, that you know.
Well, you followed your ears.
Yeah. Yeah.
You followed your ears to the studio, and that's what you should always do.
For sure. That's
I
great.
mean, like when you know, and in our correspondence, as you know, I will always email a player after the fact a record. Hey, was that, you know, I listened to this if I'm able to at that time, you know, if it's out, and you know, did that end up on this? Did that? And I don't do that in expectation. And if it doesn't, okay, that's cool. I get it. But conversely, I'll never ask a player, hey, you're going to use the 4x15. You're going to. I have never done that in my life.
Right.
Never, because then you're disrupting the whole process.
Right.
It's a complete, you know, it's like, are you going to go up to a guy sitting at a canvas and say, don't use blue there, you need to use green? It's just, that is artistic blasphemy. Yeah. But people do that.
Yeah. I don't understand that really. I mean, to a point, I guess I do, you know, people want their sound on a record or their instrument and they want to get it out there, but you're so humble and just, you know, so like you said, behind the scenes, it's for, you know, for everybody watching, I asked James for a photo for the splash thing for this live scene, and he said he didn't have any. You don't have any photos of you with your drums.
Yeah, except for the early promotion, I'm the definitive behind the scenes guy. Like I said, it's kind of contrary to my personality because, you know, I'm such a jaw flapper. You know, I love to talk, but when it comes to this, I would have been a terrible front man. I always loved being a drummer because I always would hide behind my cymbals.
Okay.
You know, I always, and
Interesting.
I had a cymbal in front of me, you know, a 16 medium, and I would tilt it so I couldn't see anybody.
Really?
You know, yeah, I always did that.
Oh man.
Because I just was very, I don't know, I'm just one of those people. You know.
Well, we'll have to like get a bunch of your players to. We'll do a crowdfunding thing for a photo shoot or something. We'll get you. Got to get you something.
Know, man, I don't know. I'm getting old too, so I don't know if I want to do a photo shoot now. But I guess if I wait, you know, it's just gonna be, you know, like I don't want people to say, is this his retirement picture or something, or is this nostalgic?
I'm thinking, you know, leather chair, house coat, cigar, and a glass of scotch, and then a snare drum on the side table. You know.
Okay.
Something like that.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, you know that you got me there.
Yeah. I'm totally kidding, but you know, something. It's yeah. I thought that was so funny.
Well, people that know me, they when you know, even if I did it, they'd be like, "Is this a joke? Is he okay? Is he drinking or what in the world?"
Oh man. Well, okay, we'll talk. I'll maybe a GoFundMe will pop up sometime, and You don't even know about it.
It just, my attention is on I just don't kind of care about me. I'm there. I keep it on the player, and they paid me a great compliment by choosing one of my drums, which they do. They always select them. It's never a dialogue.
Right.
Like, hey, what are you taking out? It just doesn't happen.
Right.
And I keep it on the player. Whether it's a begin.
Uh-oh.
Ultimately, the only thing that matters.
Right. I missed most of that. You cut out for a second there.
Yeah, we did cut out. I don't know what happened.
That's the
All
first
right.
time.
All right.
On wood. We're good. Sorry. Well, can you just recap what you said again? We didn't catch that.
I think we were talking about I think where it cut off. I just keep my attention on the player. And ultimately that's the only thing that matters. Whether you're a beginner in your mother's basement or we're at a stadium, I've got to do it all. And, it's kind of all the same to me. It's not the same, but it is the same fundamentally. And the results, like how did it go during the show, or and so I just keep it on them.
Great. So, what's? I mean, you mentioned you have it'll be an 11-year anniversary snare drum coming out, or 12, or 13.
11 or 12 years. It might be a 12-year. I got to be honest, man. It's
push it back a little bit. So what have you got? What else have you got planned for your drums? I mean, you mentioned on the Working Drummer podcast that working with other metals just doesn't interest you at all.
No.
Steel is what it's going to be.
I mean, I have. I can hear it. I remember, but no. Steel's my vibe.
Yeah. So what have you got? What are the future plans?
I probably have 13 different sizes right now.
Okay.
And that's just the plan right there.
That's it.
Yeah, I mean the latest drum I finished, number 1 of the 6.5 12.
Oh.
And that went to Steph. So, but he's trying it out. We'll have to see how it goes.
Cool.
He was looking for an auxiliary drum. So, but other than that, I mean, outside of the fact that I don't, there's nowhere to go from here, Brendan. And which is cool with me. I mean, it's just, the only thing I do, I mean, I will just obviously do what I do, but I'm always refining. I never change it, but just refining what I do.
Awesome.
And, I guess if that's my, in the end, if that's my downfall or whatever, then so be it. But to me, it's like mission accomplished.
Right.
And just keep doing what you're doing. And, I wish I had a better answer, I guess, but that I was going to have a, solid gold 4x15 or something. But
your anniversary snare drum?
Yeah, I'll have that, but like it's not going to be anything earth shattering. As far obviously price and the important thing, it's going to sound. I probably can't say too much about it.
Understand.
But yeah, it'll be a 15. I'll say that, and it's really going to have a great look to it, a different finish. Okay. But everything else is the same. The metal, the snare beds, everything else will be the same.
Well, we'll have to keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, but it's going to be a bet.
Okay. Cool. Yeah.
I was thinking about the other day, and I'm like, oh my god. Yeah, I gotta get to that, But now's not the time.
Yeah, and I mean, is it really important in
the grand scheme of things? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I'd rather do it when things are quote unquote back to normal. I'm only going to do maybe 20 of them.
Okay.
I know what it's going to look like. It's a finish. I actually bought the powder for this finish many years ago.
Oh, really?
And I'm not using that powder because powder goes bad after a while for powder coating. But
Okay.
so I'm gonna have to rebuy that. But yeah, it's gonna be pretty slick looking drum. I'll have an anniversary badge on it.
Okay.
You know.
And you do all the badges yourself too?
No, I have the badges made.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had the badges made years ago, but the design was mine.
Yeah, I mean, I love the design. It's just it's so slick.
I hear that all the time from players. They're like, even at a show, somebody will come up to me like, "Hey, I saw one of your drums." They're like, "I love the badge, man."
Yeah. Well, I just gotta grab another look at it here.
I've had more compliments on that badge,
It's
but it's just a very traditional. It's a kind of a classic.
Well, that's exactly it. It's not gaudy or tacky or huge,
Yeah, I didn't want huge.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Oh, it works. Works great.
So.
I'm sure it helps the tone as well.
Well, I didn't want something too big and bulky because that does, especially on a 4x15.
That's right.
Yeah, I don't want some cast. It's just going to take you down a bit. And so it works.
Very cool. So. Well, I think that this is probably not a bad point to wrap this up. At least the live portion. Yeah, hang around after a few minutes if you got a few minutes.
Yeah.
So
I gotta get some more coffee though.
Oh, okay. It won't be long, I promise. I got to jet to a session soon here too, but yeah, would love to chat a little bit more.
Yeah.
For everybody. Yeah, for everybody watching, this is James Beier of Beier Snare Drums. Go get you one, for sure. Thanks again, James, for hanging out.
Oh yeah, I was really looking forward to this, Brendan.
Likewise.
Thanks for asking me.
Anytime. I maybe in the next few months or so we'll have you back and see what's happening. See if the anniversary drum's on its way.
Well, I'll give you a progress report. Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. Thanks again, James.
I actually should do it. Yeah, I've had a lot of players ask me, "Are you going to do it? Are you going to do it?" I won't. So this is probably the kind of maybe the start of speeding that up a little bit.
Now it has to happen.
Yeah,
you're gonna have to make more than 20 by the sounds of it.
I might. I don't know. So
awesome. Well, thanks again. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thanks again, everybody, for tuning in. I think next week is going to be a break, but I've got the next week's guest lined up already, and I'll be announcing that soon. So tune in 2 weeks. Thanks again, James.
Great. Thanks, man.